There we go.
That's wonderful. Look at us. Who would have thought we could have done it? Two highly educated people that decided to get jobs as road comics and they can't figure out the computer. So welcome to the first episode ever. We don't know how many more there will be or if we'll ever be able to log on again. I'm Renee Bray and my partner is
Flip Orley.
Amazing comic hypnotist. And he's been in the business
more than I care to admit. For a while.
About 45 years.
Yes, because I started when I was 47. So yes.
And I got 30 years. Do you know I did 30 years to the day?
Today?
No, to the day.
Oh, to the day.
Started on one, and I go, I've had enough of this crap. So I'm out of here. But what our audience may or may not know is you and I met 35 years ago.
In the lovely city of Orlando, Florida.
Do you remember what club?
Comedy Zone?
Was the Comedy Zone on I Drive.
Yeah.
And you were amazing then and even more amazing now.
Thank you.
You get to be the talented one. I get to be the pretty one.
There you go.
Of course, we won't tell anybody what we're wearing from the waist down. Because we're comics. We're still in our pajamas for crying out.
Oh, I was going to say nothing but a smile.
Well, then we have to rate the podcast different, don't we?
Not if I don't drop the camera.
Well, now see, that sounds real funny right now. And that sounds like that's off the cuff. But I remember one time I got a call that I had to testify in court really quickly. And I was using Zoom with my cell phone. And before I got off the phone with you to log into that, I go, I didn't even have time to put all my clothes on. I had just put a jacket on over a t-shirt to look good in court. And you go, you'll be okay as long as you don't drop your phone. And what happened? I logged into Zoom and I dropped the phone right in my lap. So,
what an appropriate app to be on at the time.
Yes, I mean they can
zoom in to see what's what.
Oh, I was embarrassed that day and I wanted to strangle you all at the same time because you put it out into the universe.
Indeed.
So the reason we decided to do this podcast and talk about this is because through the years, people who aren't in comedy always come up to us and say, oh my gosh, you live this gorgeous, wonderful life. You get to travel all the time. Why don't you tell us about your last trip, Flip? How glamorous and fun was that?
So I got contacted by a club in Phoenix called Stand Up Live, whom I love. I mean, they're wonderful. They're also owned by the same people on the Tempe Improv and the Desert Ridge Improv, which is in North Phoenix. And they had said that the comic they had booked for 2 days away, like they contacted me on Wednesday. The week was supposed to start on Friday. And they said the comic had become ill and had to cancel, and could I fill in? And,
that means they've gone into rehab.
Right. Possibly. I could neither confirm nor deny. So it was Memorial Day weekend. Couldn't get a flight. Also couldn't get my dog boarded. So I got a rental-a-car, and I threw my 87-pound German Shepherd into a car and drove 1,400 miles, leaving Wednesday afternoon. And then ran into a hailstorm outside of San Antonio. Was routed 100 extra miles out of my way. Closed my eyes for a couple hours at a truck stop. Got to Phoenix at like 3 p.m. on Friday and had a show Friday night at 7. So that was some pretty glamorous comic stuff going on there.
Well, we were on the phone back and forth most of the time. And I can tell you that little detour you made saved you a lot of aggravation because there were nasty storms. If you'd gotten in that, that's one of those where you're putting your show clothes on as you're pulling up to the hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And people think that doesn't happen either. There have been many times when I've been wrestling in a car trying to get show clothes on because you're skating in there 10 minutes late.
Well, my phone was screaming. It's like, you are entering a really, really dangerous storm. Take cover immediately. And then that next message that came around goes, oh, unless you'd like to bypass the storm. Oh, yeah, let's do that one.
Well, there's a good idea, isn't it?
But it took me 100 miles out of the way. So, again, it added, I don't know, another 2 hours to my drive. So it was 25 hours in the car.
And mind you, weren't you there Friday night?
Yeah, I got there Friday, 3 in the afternoon. Friday night we had a show at 7. And then 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. And then I left on Monday to come back home.
And tell us about all the touristy things you got to see along the highway, because apparently we do a lot of sightseeing on the road.
Let's see. I saw a lot of law enforcement along the way because it was Memorial Day weekend. I saw a lot of truck stops. When I was in Phoenix, I was fortunate enough to see a crackhead in the middle of a sidewalk pleasuring himself. So I mean, when it comes to sightseeing, you're not going to get better than that. That was amazing. It's funny because I was telling you, I talk to everyone, right? I stop people on the street. I talk to them. I love talking to people. And I'm looking at this guy, and he seemed really determined, and he seemed like he was really close to being where he wanted to be. So I didn't want to.
Do you notice I'm not saying anything? Because if you think I'm going to walk through this cow pasture with you, you are crazy.
So I'm walking, and he had that look like, any minute now. And I didn't want to be in the splash zone because, again, like, you don't know if there's a regular deal, right, where he's not exactly backed up, so it's just going to be like a dribbler. Or you don't know if this was like a once in a blue moon kind of a deal, in which case he'd be shooting for the fences. And I didn't want to be anywhere in the end. So I didn't want my dog to suddenly have moose in her hair.
Now, I know you're going to find this odd, but when I said about sightseeing, I was talking about like maybe the mountains or stopping to see something along the road. But you don't ever have any kind of sightseeing like that. You're one of those comics that seems to attract the, shall we say, strange and unusual. Because I do have 30 years on the road, so I have some experience.
Right.
And I've never experienced anybody doing what your little friend was doing.
I mean, I've seen people like pee, but they're normally like in or near a bush or in like a corner of a building, or I mean, they're trying to be as much as you can be on the mean streets. They're trying to be a little discreet. This is a guy who is like, you know what? Don't look out of there. I got a plan. And I'm like, well, good for you. Everyone needs a plan. So, that was my sightseeing.
When I said sightseeing, I was thinking differently. But you're talking to the same woman that I remember the first time that I was making that long trip down to I-10, which has got to be the longest road in the world. You're leaving Tallahassee, and all of a sudden you're not seeing anything, and you finally get to you start seeing signs to Loves. I'm sorry, my eyes are watering like crazy. The allergies are going nuts.
And for those of you who might be watching live or later when it's recorded, Loves is a chain of truck stops around the country.
Well, see, you say that now. Where were you 25 years ago when the comic I was with goes, let's stop there. That looks like a good place. And I go, I'm not stopping at a porn shop until we get to the gig because, you've just left Florida where it's all with the strip clubs along the highways and stuff.
Right. Right.
It was, I thought, I wouldn't let her stop. It was hysterical. And then I go, oh, this is a really nice truck stop. It's a great place.
Yeah. I've been using Love's fuel and other travel needs, their truck stops. Well, so I started my career driving, right? And then I eventually moved over to flying, and then I flew like 3+ million air miles. I've got over 1.5 million with one airline and 1.5 million with another airline, plus an untold number of miles with Southwest and Delta and this thing and that deal. But from the pandemic on, I just started driving again for a lot of reasons. So I've reacquainted myself with Loves once again.
This is attractive, isn't it? The whole eye watering. You know what I need, don't you?
I hope I'm not letting the cat out of the bag, but everyone, I just want to let you know, September 19th, I'll be at the Park Theater in
Holland, Michigan.
And September 19th is also
my son's birthday.
And finally,
it's Speak Like a Pirate. Now, here's why this is funny. Okay, because as it says on all my pages, I book comics or talent manager, whatever you call me. It's basically these guys go, please get me work, and I do. Well, at least one comic says that. We won't mention any names, but I'll just go, wait a second, wrong way. That one.
All right. This was the Hitler mustache. I don't think that's what you were going for.
Oh. But this comic had called me and he said, oh, I hear you're coming to the Park Theater. I hope I can get to do a set for you because I would like to work for you, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, what date will you be there? And I said, well, Flip and I will be there September 19th. And he goes, really? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, what a lucky day for you to show up. It's Speak Like a Pirate Day. And I told you the story because it was so absurd.
But he wasn't kidding. Like, he wasn't being ironic.
No, he wasn't. Not kidding. Was not kidding for 1 second.
Yeah.
And what did you do immediately?
Started writing material.
Yeah. See, that's another question we always get. Where does your material come from? Oh, people walk around.
Yeah.
All you have to do is walk around. So when we're in Park Theater in Holland, Michigan.
Holland, Michigan on September 19th. Like a Pirate Day.
We have material for that.
Now, again, what's our caveat? It depends on the volunteers. If the volunteers seem like they can pull it off, they're going to be some pirating on the 19th.
Now, see, and I got to tell you, too, because it looks to me from our social media that we have a lot of friends in Wilmington, Ohio, which is where I'm from. By the way, people, I just want to tell you, I told them, because where's our favorite place to eat?
And it's a simple answer with a long story, but our favorite place to eat because we're classy
people.
Waffle House.
That's right. Yeah. And I said to him, Wilmington doesn't have a Waffle House. But I said, oh my God, have you ever been to a Frisch's? And he goes, a what? And I said, a Frisch's. And he goes, I've never even heard of it. And I go, it's wonderful. We will be eating every meal there while we're there. And quite honestly, we're hoping to work the Murphy Theater is what we're doing. And if any of you people are from Wilmington, you got to come out and see the show because he's a little odd in person, but he is the most talented, creative, funny son of a gun I've ever met in my entire life. Just don't go walking around with him at night because the odd people do find him.
It's not night, it's 24/7. Honestly, it's 24/7.
But you also informed me we're not eating at Frisch's because you don't like tartar sauce, and they put tartar sauce on everything. That's the deal.
You can't say, but not me. You can't say not me. Like you can't say, give everyone else, but not me.
What?
Tartar sauce. I don't want tartar sauce.
Well, you can have yours without.
Okay.
I mean, the whole rest of the town's going to look at you like there's something wrong with you, but I'm not sure that wouldn't happen anyway.
Well, A, I get that a lot. B, I got a crystal ball. So if you want to look at me funny, I cannot be held responsible for what's going to happen.
I can't wait. I'm really hoping that deal comes through because, first of all, it's a historic theater. It's gorgeous. Wilmington would love you. And I would like to be back in my hometown for a couple of days and peruse around and look at things. And not only that, I guess we should mention we're also filming a documentary while we're out on the road.
That is also true, which I'm excited about. That'll be fun.
I think it'll be a lot of fun. And this time on our trip, and that's why we decided to call this Adventures, because we're also, if we can figure out how to get on and off the podcast, we're going to try to do them live from out on the road someplace. So I figure some Love's Truck Stop, maybe.
Well, if we're going to do it live, we're going to have to download the app and then use the phones to do it, because right now we're doing it from computers. But I assume there's a way to do that. Okay.
I don't know. I didn't get the memo. I'm assuming that you'll figure that out because you know that technology is not my forte. But who's operating the cameras?
I might have been. Oh, you are. Yeah. You
are.
Yeah,
out on the road. Because
by the way, people of Wilmington, let's get it out there. I know that Renee did a show there how many ever years ago, and y'all still talk about it, and y'all love her, and you should, and she was wonderful and still is. So I'm going to be a huge disappointment. But you know what? Buckle up, because this is what you get. I'm it.
Yeah, and for anybody, anywhere, Lakeland, Melbourne, Wilmington, anywhere in the country. When I retired. I'm never getting on this stage again. I have no desire. I don't want to. You know what I enjoy doing? I enjoy taking care of. Why can't I get my finger to go the right direction?
Do it with me.
I
enjoy being with. Is that what you wanted to do?
Now, I'm going to tell you, I also swore I would never go on the road again. Yeah. And then one afternoon, I got the booking for you at the Park Theater.
In Holland, Michigan, September 19th.
And I found out a friend of mine works up there. And I said, can I maybe ride with you to Michigan? And I don't know where the ride from Michigan, we kind of just go, okay, well, let's do this. We might as well film a documentary. I guess you're going to go farther than Michigan. And we're traveling together. And if it's not enough that it's two comedians, which in the car is going to be a lot like this. I do a lot of laughing. He does a lot of eye rolling. And what else have we decided to add to the tour?
You, me, and a dog named Boo.
Blue.
Isn't that a song?
That's a song, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, if you think I'm going to sing where anybody can hear it, you're crazy. Yeah.
No, but we're taking my my puppy, and so
How
funny because
big's your puppy?
87 pounds.
Yeah.
I thought
Okay.
about whether or not I could bring her with me on the road, and I thought I would try like a short trip to Dallas, like 400 miles, but I'd never done it. And then all of a sudden, I have this 1,400 plus mile drive, roughly 3,000 miles round trip. So she went with me Memorial Day weekend, and did surprisingly well. Did actually really well.
And hopefully, with two of us on the road, that will help too. It'll take some of the pressure off because we're literally planning on leaving on a Tuesday. I think we decided if the Murphy Theater thing comes in. And by the way, if you're in Wilmington and you want to stop by the Murphy Theater and tell them you'd love to see Flip Orley, I won't be upset about that.
You can also see Renee, but she'll be in the sound booth doing sound and light cues.
That's right. And practicing my pirate imp.
Yeah, because that'll be right around the corner.
That'll be right there. I want to be good. What can I say? Yeah, we're even hoping maybe not only to do a show, but to do a podcast and have like a live audience at the podcast.
That'd be fun.
I think that would be a lot of fun. We'd have a lot of fun because we like a live audience better. Right. And quite honestly, I know Storm is probably laying there staring at you. And I also have a German Shepherd that's laying here looking at me. And they're not as fun an audience as you would hope they would be.
No, no, she's very judgy.
Wow.
I don't like it all.
Mine's sleeping. And that's even worse, Although I did have a guy almost die in the audience one night.
Me too.
Did they? Here's what's funny is I know you're not kidding. No. And if there are any comics watching this, and it's not just going to be us doing this. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of friends that were hoping to come on, but I think they wanted to wait and see if we could ever pull this off. And by the way, we're not sure we have yet.
Nah, I mean, it says it's working, but I guess time will tell. I think I told you it was in Baltimore or DC. I had a guy in the audience that ended up with an aneurysm.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so he ended up getting rushed to the hospital. I went to town the next year, and he sent me an email. He goes, "I had such a great time at your show until I didn't, and I want to go to your next show. That you're coming to the DC Improv, but I'm going to ask you a favor. Please promise that you won't kill me." And so I said, I make no promises. Like, how do you promise
I'll tell you what you meant. Well, it all depends on the volunteers.
Right. Yeah. What you need to do is hope the volunteers suck, and then you should be fine. But the volunteers are great.
The guy for me was sitting third table back. We were in Titusville, Florida. And I'm going to tell you, if you know anything about comedy, the best rooms are not always the Coconuts room. I'm pretty sure this was a Coconuts room. Third row back, he had looked a little odd. I thought he was drunk. I really did.
Well, I've made that mistake.
Along with several others I've heard stories about. But I noticed he was doing a lot of this. And he never looked like he would look at me, but he wasn't focusing. And I kind of kept an eye on him till all of a sudden I hear thump. And I look over and his head is now on the table. And his friends are starting to pull him back. And I see that he's limp. And I go,
you mean his body is limp?
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify.
No. What you want to do is you want to make me blush. And I know that. Because
on the chance that anybody's mind was in the gutter.
You were the only one. We knew whose mind was in the gutter. I knew that right away. And you did make me blush. Well, you don't know because you can't see the hole.
I can't
But
see
yeah.
color.
But the next, I said, somebody called 911 and is anybody in here a doctor? And everybody is staring at me like they thought it was part of the act or something. And I'm like,
Right.
no. I wound up giving the guy CPR until the ambulance got there. Now, here's the funny thing. I was probably 10 or 15 minutes into my set. As a headliner, we're supposed to do anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. But I kind of thought the show might end with the guy getting CPR.
Were you doing your set as you're doing compressions?
No, because I was doing what you're supposed to do when you're giving somebody CPR.
Looking lovingly into their eyes?
Staying alive, staying alive. That's the song you're supposed to sing. It's a Bee Gees song. You know I'm going with the Bee Gees.
I've heard of it.
I can't wait to see how fond you are of the Bee Gees by the time we get to Holland, Michigan. It's either that or Barry Manilow's Suck It Up, Buttercup.
Well, I was working at a club in Fairbanks, Alaska, and it was sponsored by a radio station, and they had one of the DJs host and MC and open for me. And not wanting to be canceled, I will use my words carefully. He was a bigger fella. He was a big boy. And so his final bit before bringing me up, he pulled out a little guitar and he did an Elvis impression. And so he's playing guitar and he actually did a decent Elvis. And the final chord, he jumped up in the air to kind of come in with one of these things. And he landed funny and he collapsed and started screaming. And the audience gave him a standing ovation, like, "Oh my God, that was amazing!" And as the applause started dying down, you can hear him screaming, "I broke my leg!" And it was like a compound fracture. You get the bone, like.
Oh my God!
So, what's the first thing? The comic that's following that thanks. Not is he okay? Not oh my God, that's horrible.
No, what did you do? What did you
first
say?
thought, how the hell am I going to follow that? How do you follow that? What an asshole. How do you follow a compound fracture?
Well, you know what he did, because he was probably a younger, newer comic. He probably went home, and before he went to the emergency room or the hospital or anything, put on his resume that he had gotten a standing ovation.
Right. But as they're wheeling him out in a gurney, like I'm on stage, another round of applause for Bob Frankel. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how y'all doing? And they're like watching them wheel this guy out in a gurney, screaming. Hey, who wants to see a little comedy hypnosis?
I got to tell you, as much as I wanted to get off the road, I think I have some of the best road stories. And what's funny is, because of Facebook, I hooked up with a guy. His name's Eddie Williams. And I've been private messaging him because, first of all, I want him to tell you in person or on the podcast that these stories I tell you are true. But he used to manage the Coconuts in Pensacola, Florida. And for some reason, it seems like a lot of the stories that I have come out of that same club. So I think Eddie might have been the problem and not me.
Right.
He mentioned the radio station. And I believe that's the one I told you where the night before I'd been drinking shots and throwing them over my shoulder and breaking all the glasses. So the club said, no, she's not getting another piece of glassware. She can only have the little plastic cups that we use for outside. So when I went on the radio show, I go, well, I would say come out and watch us break some glasses, but I'm not allowed to have anything but plastic. People showed up at the door that night, and they had gone to like Walmart or something and gotten, the 4 packs of glasses. Yeah. And they go, we brought these for Renee. You can give her a drink in these. Eddie's head almost exploded. He was like, How do you get people to do that stuff? Those are the fun times and the stuff I remember, and all the good people. Oh,
Right.
great people along the road,
Right.
You're a perfect example of that,
Back at you.
Yeah, well, it's funny because there are a lot of comedians that are blatantly assholes. I'm sorry. What's the nice word for asshole? Well, I'm asking the wrong person. You have no idea. Right. But it's the truth. They're assholes. They're miserable to be around. Sometimes I probably was. I noticed you.
Me too. I was too.
No, I thought you were going to say, I cannot confirm nor deny.
No, we all, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. I chose this lifestyle. I love my job. I've always loved my job. But like any other job and any other lifestyle, there's issues with it, and there's things that it's hard. And so, yeah, there have been times where I've been run down, tired, having a bad week, and I'm probably wasn't all that pleasant to be around. I'd like to say that happened few and far between, but I know it happened.
Yeah. Back in the old days, the kids don't understand what we're talking about, but we didn't have GPS and all of that. We had maps.
Our good friend Rand McNally.
Rand McNally. You might want to look them up in a museum someplace if you've never seen one. But the agent would always tell you, oh my gosh, I got this great gig for you. Can you pick it up for me? You've already been on the road 3 or 4 days. And you go, well, where is it? And they would tell you the city, and they go, it's about a 3-hour drive. You would go, hi, I'm game. So you get in the car and you get out the map. And you go, this is a 7-hour drive. Now, the booker knew that it was a 7-hour drive, but if they'd have told you that, you wouldn't have taken it.
Right.
So what are you going to do?
I'm hoping that you have enough morality and ethics that you're going to show up even though it's really hard. Even after they lied to you.
No. Yeah, because we have egos. And also because bookers will go, oh, if you do this for me, I'll owe you one. Well, I've been retired for 5 years now. I think it's about time, maybe on one of our little tours that we take, that we stop and visit some of the bookers that have owed me several hundred.
Yeah.
And maybe we should collect. Would you be, what would that be in the mob if you were like the guy who collected for me? Because I know you do that for me. I know you got my back. So.
Well, yeah. What are they called other than like knee breakers?
I don't know. I think they have a word for it, but because the agents never pay you back.
No. But it always sounds good in that moment. And a lot of us are stupid enough way too many times to go, oh, they're going to owe us something. And they never pay. And it takes years to figure it out that they're never going to do you a good turn after you help them out.
Yeah. And a lot of them will call you on the phone as you're packing your car to go to one of their gigs and go, oh, man, I hate to do this to you right at the last minute, but I got to cancel you this weekend because poor so-and-so's in town and his gig canceled, so he really needs this. Right. And I used to kind of laugh and I go, well, why don't you break it to my 3 children that he needs it more than they do? Because they used to, my kids when they were little, and they were 5, 7, and 9 when I started doing comedy. If I was home for 3 days straight, they would go, what are you doing? Well, I'm home for a couple of days. Really? Shouldn't you be out making money? I don't know who was worse, my kids or the bookers.
That's funny.
The
other way besides Rand McNally, I don't know if they still do it, but I believe I remember you used to be able to contact AAA if you were a AAA member.
Oh, yeah, and get the triptychs.
And you would tell them where you were going, from where to where to where to where, and they would route you, and they'd send you a booklet of maps.
They called it a triptych.
Yeah. I use that all the time.
Oh, wow.
when I was in LA, I used to use the Thomas Guide for City Maps. On the road, ran McNally, but once I clicked into AAA, they actually did a really good job, and it was really handy.
Wonder if they still do that. Probably not, because too many people use GPS.
Right.
All of that.
Waze,
We're not
Google
we're
Maps,
not going to mess with all that electronic stuff on the road, are we?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Because if the way I've got it worked out, and it's starting to come together today, if all these people go to Wilmington to the Murphy Theater and we nail that one, we would be leaving Lafayette, Louisiana, and headed for Wilmington. 2 days in Wilmington to Holland, Michigan.
Right.
For one night. Next day, we are headed for Martinsville, West Virginia.
Right. At the lovely
Apollo Civic Theater.
Yes. I had abbreviated the name to Apollo, but yes.
Yes, but I don't want people to think we're driving to New York, because where am I not allowed to book you?
Correct. But we said Martinsville, West Virginia, so anybody who shows up at the Apollo in Harlem, will shame on you.
Well, maybe we don't want them to show up anyway, you know.
Well,
That's
Martinsville,
because they didn't have their Rand McNally.
Yeah, and if they're in New York and they go to a New York club, I have zero sympathy.
Oh, first of all,
listen to the whole podcast.
First of all, I want to show everybody this. This is my little vape. And why do I use this, Flip?
Stop smoking.
Yeah, so anybody who used to have to hold my seat outside a comedy club so that I could have a cigarette right after a show, I stopped smoking 14 weeks ago. Yeah. And the day after I stopped smoking, I gave up sugar and carbohydrates.
And there have been no injuries that we're aware of.
I'm really good at hiding bodies, I'll tell you what. No, but thanks to the little vape thing. Now that has helped me a lot. And also the hypnosis tape that you gave me. Well, it wasn't a tape, but since I still live in 1973, because the Bee Gees are my favorite group, and I think it's a tape. It's actually an audio. And you know, that's one of the things that I really admire about you, is how freely you help people with what is not only very funny, but it's also a very healing thing, in that the hypnosis. Oh, look at you. Now look at your face. I love that face. I love that face. I love that finger too. So there you go.
You know,
no, just stop, because you're going to ba-dee, so I'll do it.
So anyway, we're looking at theaters for about a 2-week run in September, and then with many more to come, and then especially in the new year 2026, there's going to be, fingers crossed, lots of theaters that you've been working hard at securing, which I appreciate.
Yes, and did you think that was a segue that you did there? I noticed how you jumped right over.
I thought it was a lovely segue.
Yeah, well, you were incorrect, because I'm still going to brag about you. The only reason I sleep good at night is because of the audio that you gave me, and I sleep with that. And proof positive is you went to Arkansas. Wasn't that where you were? Yeah, that was Arkansas.
The first trip was Maryland, which was May 3rd. And then...
And you were on the road, but I was at home. I wasn't. We just so everybody knows, we haven't made a trip yet. We want to film the first trip we go on.
Right. We haven't even been in the same town for 35 years. You're in Orlando. I'm in Lafayette, Louisiana. So
first time we were in the same room together was last night when we tried to do this, and it went really well last night. I don't know what happened this morning, but this is the second time we've been in the same room. Yeah. In 35 years, because you suck at calling.
I'm very shy.
Okay. Everybody believes that. Raise their hands. Yeah.
By the way, to gauge whether people end up not watching it live, but at least get this far into it in the recording.
Yeah. Nobody will make it this far but you and I.
Our email is adorable.
No.
What?
Is it? Not effing adorable?
Oh, effing adorable. F-I-N-G adorable at proton.me. So F-I-N-G, spell adorable, because whatever, proton, P-R-O-T-O-N.me. So Renee was just talking about the sleep audio. If you get this far into the podcast and you want either a link to a relaxation audio and or a sleep audio, email us at fingadorable, proton.me. I will send you links to the audios.
That is really sweet.
As our thank you for listening to the maiden voyage.
But I want to tell the best story ever. Flip was on the road. He had gone to Arkansas. He was on his second road trip where he was really sick with this crud that had been going around. So at one point we needed to stop talking because his throat was doing something. I'm sorry. Am I boring you?
No, I'm just it's my neck time.
I'm just giving you a hard way to go because I can when other people are watching. But he had to take a break because he was losing his voice. So I figured while we weren't talking, I would take a little nap. Well, if I'm going to take a nap, I'm going to listen to the audio.
I was driving home from Arkansas.
Yeah. So he didn't know that I was sleeping and sleeping with the audio. So the phone rings. I wake up because in the audio it says if you need to function, you immediately wake up and function, sort of. So I answer the phone and he goes, were you sleeping? I think you, or I said to you I was taking a nap.
Right.
And you immediately started into a conversation. And how did that go for you?
So, okay, this requires a little bit of background. I was at a friend's house in Maryland, and we were watching because he's an American citizen now, but born and raised in England, Britain, and he's a dart fancier. So we're watching a tournament of dart throwing, and they had, when they were introducing the dart players, they came walking out one at a time like they were UFC fighters in a 10,000 seat arena, complete with like loud music, and they were high-fiving fans as they were walking up, and they were like, being very demonstrative and very animated. And then they settle in and they just sit there and they go, right, they're just throwing darts, which when you compare it to them being introduced and coming in, just looks silly. So I decided that I thought it'd be really funny to start my shows with that kind of a vibe, right? Where like music would be really loud and lights would be flashing and I'd be walking in, high-fiving people on my way to the stage, and we were laughing about it. And then at some point along the way, Renee thought, that is a train wreck in the making. And
no, that's not. First of all, you make me sound horrible. I tried to explain it better than that. I used every euphemism for train wreck that I could come up.
You just thought that it was not setting the right tone for the show.
Right. You're very classy on stage and elegant.
Nobody's ever accused me of that, but okay. So she was sincerely concerned about the vibe of the show and getting off every night on a good footing, and that was probably going to be not the best way to start my shows. Which, by the way, to her credit, you were and are still right. You're right, and we have that on video. You're right. So I was thinking about it, and I wanted to know that I was listening. I wanted to let her know that I value her opinion. And then I came up with, at the moment, what I thought was a brilliant idea. So when she answered, I go, I have a compromise. Here's the compromise. I won't do the walkout. Like, in other words, I'm not going to be that UFC fighter, dart throwing, like, whoop, whoop, kind of a guy. I'm going to have my normal, sort of understated walk on stage and whatnot. But on nights where the volunteers are really, 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 really good and animated and sort of over the top, I could do a suggestion where they would do a walkout. Now, I thought that made perfect sense. I didn't factor in that she had just woken up, had not completely woken up, and was still fairly hypnotized. Which then, when she responded, I had no idea why she was so ambivalent to what I thought was a great compromise.
Basically, every time you stopped talking, I went, and?
Yeah, I'm like, so here's the compromise. I won't do the walkout, but if the volunteers are really good, then I'll do a suggestion where they do the walkout, and it'll be really big and over the top and fun, and it'll be loud music and exciting, and hopefully the audience will get into it. And I would pause so she could say, what a great compromise. But instead she goes, and I would go, no, that's it. There's no more and. No, you don't get it. There's no more and. That's the bit. The bit is the volunteers do the walk on. And why are you anding me? It's a compromise. I'm not doing the walkout because it's a bad idea. You were right. I still think it's a funny idea, so I'm going to get the volunteers to do it. And when they do it, set up in a bit where I think it'll be really fun. It'll be really a big bit that the audience will love. And I'm like, okay, let me, because I can't keep saying the same thing over and over because you're not getting it. Let's pretend that we're in the same location and we both decide we want ice cream, right? This is just an analogy. We're in the same location. Let's get ice cream. I want ice cream. What do you think? I want ice cream too. Let's get ice cream. Okay, I want ice cream. I go to the store and I come back with ice cream, and then you're like, and? I'm like, no, there's no nuts or hot fudge or whipped cream. We said ice cream. I got ice cream. We have ice cream. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, you're lactose intolerant. What the hell are you talking about? You know that I'm not eating sugar. Are you out of your mind? It's an analogy. Why would you want ice cream when you know that it's going to hurt your stomach? I don't want ice cream. Well, then why'd you say it? It's an analogy. There's no more. It's like I'm doing a walkout, not me, the volunteers. There's nothing more to it. Like, we decided we want ice cream. I get ice cream. There's nothing more to it. That's just what it is. And oh my God. Yeah, that was like an hour of that. There was like an hour of that.
Well, and see, one thing I want to point.
One thing
the one thing I wanted to point out is that's also how we work. You saw something funny on TV and immediately figured out how to implement it into your show. When people say, where do you come up? That's how we come up with our material. We see funny stuff where other people don't.
All true.
I personally find it funny that you proceeded for an hour and a half with me saying nothing but and, because you had to know that was out of character.
Yeah, but I was desperate for you to just go, this is what I was waiting for. Oh. And you know when I got that? Like 2 effing adorable days later.
Yeah, because what you and I figured out later on was I was just in such deep hypnosis at that point. Because remember, we talked several times during the night while you were driving home. And although I got a little bit better, it still wasn't right. But the next morning, I walk with this little old lady in our neighborhood some mornings. And I'm walking down to pick her up, and I go, compromise. Oh. And I'm laughing all the way down the street. And I go, oh, that's the ice cream. Because the ice cream threw me in a whole new dimension of confused.
Dude, over and over again. Why do you want ice cream? You're lactose intolerant. I don't know what, like, why would you introduce that in the conversation? We were talking about a walk-on. Now you want ice cream? We're not even together. Why would you get me ice cream? I'm like, holy shit. It's an analogy. Oh, real quick, I wanted to tell you, I just saw my phone. Janet and Tim, I'm going to try to pronounce their name. Plevniak?
Okay.
Are they friends of yours?
Well, I don't know if that's really their last name. I believe we have some. Are they, what about it?
They just, they evidently are watching, and they asked for the sleep audio. So I will send that to you when we hang up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very
That's
nice.
good. Two separate people or a couple?
Looks like a couple, because they have, the names are in the email header thing.
Oh,
so I think
cool.
they're together. Yes.
That is really cool. And
by the way, if you would prefer me not to say your last name, that's my bad. I won't do that again. So let's pretend I didn't do that. Hey, Janet and Tim just emailed and said they'd like those audios, and I will send those.
Oh, there's a notice on here. We did go live.
Well, unless Janet and Tim are psychics, we have to be live because they actually. Okay. And?
No, I mean, a notice came out. That's what I meant. I knew we were live. You know what? That's one for you today.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I know you got it. I wanted to tell you, I just got a friend request from somebody who's important to you and I and our story.
You can tell me now or after we stop?
No, I could tell you now. Wendy.
Oh, hi, Wendy.
Yeah, she's also watching. And I talked to her earlier today.
Does Wendy know the backstory?
She does now. And what's funny is she's got a backstory almost identical to ours.
Wow. So for those of you who don't know, can I give a broad overview?
I don't know. You can explain a freaking walk-on. Let's see how you do with this.
So Renee and I worked together 35 years ago in Orlando. We had a lovely time visiting, and then she went her way and I went mine. And I think we had contact one or two other times, like in a Facebook message or something like that.
Just brief message.
But really have had basically no contact for 35 years. And then this woman, Wendy, wanted to put together a show, and the details of that for the moment don't matter. And when she told Renee what she was looking for, out of the blue, 35 years later, Renee's like, I know who would be perfect for the show. And she proceeded to send me an email. Yeah, an email.
Email.
Yeah. And having not heard from her in forever and a day, that I contacted her back. And we've been talking ever since and have become dear friends and are now working together, going on the road together. She's booking me in theaters, going to do Sound and Lights. We're doing a documentary and a host of other possible options. So, Wendy, thank you. Was that our music to say goodbye?
Now I'm going to tell you what it is. And you're going to get a number 2 for this one because you're going to make fun of me. I thought I had turned my ringer off, and apparently I didn't.
I thought that was our. Can you see the comments on the screen from people who are listening?
No, I can't.
That's from my friend Casey in Phoenix, but I saw that on my phone, not on.
It has to be on yours.
I'm looking. Where the hell would they be?
They would be on the right side.
Ah!
Did you find it?
think so. When streaming to a profile, viewer comments won't show up unless the stream is public on Facebook. By default, it's friends only. Well, I don't understand. Casey, I don't know. You have to be watching on Facebook. That's the only place where we're streaming live. It'll go on. So we were going to do YouTube also, but YouTube has a stupid 24-hour rule. So by the time you sign up for it, they won't let you live stream for at least 24 hours. So this is on Facebook only, but in the future will be on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram.
Yes.
And it'll be on Twitter, now known as X, but not live, but recorded. Anyway, Casey, I don't see where it won't show me comments.
And you just jumped off in the middle of the story. Are you not going to tell them we're business partners?
Oh, and well, I mean, I said you're booking me theaters, doing lights and sound. We're touring together. We're doing a documentary, and a host of other things, specifically business partners. So yeah. So Wendy, thank you very much. If not for you, I don't know that there would have been a catalyst for Renee and I to get in touch with each other.
Now, what I like the best part of getting in touch with you was I go, I don't know if you'll remember me. And
goofiest opening ever, but okay.
And it was so funny because when I answered the phone when you called, you go, of course I remember you. And all I could think of was, oh God, what did I do that weekend? I thought it was going to be one of those road stories, but
no, nothing bad. So Casey, for anyone else, this is our first. We did a test run on StreamYard, which is the podcasting platform we're using, last night, but neither Renee nor I are very technical. I'm looking at my phone, literally, supposedly computer, like I'm talking to Casey. But we still have to work out some of the kinks. Neither of us are technical, and we're not really sure a lot about how to use this platform. But over time, we'll get it figured out. And if this is something y'all can sit back and watch at some point, hopefully we will make it progressively more interesting over time.
Well, you know what? You've entertained me. I cannot hear the what story enough. And just because you even get frustrated now.
As I hear myself tell the story, I'm like, how? Oh, maybe that'll work. How would you not get it? I'm rapidly realizing it. Oh, okay. Some of the stuff you can't do until you get the paid platform.
Oh, we're not doing that.
Right.
We don't know if we're that good or not, and I'm pretty sure right.
StreamYard until we get our crap ironed out, and we start getting a bigger audience. We're not going the paid route.
Yes, because we have no idea how many people are watching this right now.
4. If I'm reading this correctly.
Where are you reading that? It might only be on your screen.
In the top left of the box where my picture is, it says we've been on for 58 minutes, 46 seconds.
Oh, and we have 5.
And there's 5 viewers. Yep.
And we really hope that if you watch this, you will go over and like the Road Comics Adventures Facebook page, because if we get to 100 people on there, then we can actually air it live on that page, correct?
I think so. So that's why we're doing it on my personal page, because they wouldn't let us go to the Road Comics Adventure page. Oh, so Casey, who figured out that by sending me message on my phone, I can still read comments. Casey, way to think outside the box. Very smart. Here, Renee, how often do y'all plan to do the podcast?
Plan.
How often do you think we'll do this? Once a week?
Yeah, let's do it once a week. You want to do it once a week? And maybe when we're out on the road, we'll probably do it a little bit more.
So, Casey, we're not 100% sold on Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern. So we'll hopefully come up with a time that we can do consistently. But we're going to.
You got any ideas, Casey?
Oh, yeah. If I mean, because again, if you're going to watch the recording, you can watch it whenever you want. But if you wanted to watch live, what might be a good day and time that would work for y'all? And by the way, if you send us that message, you can do it on Facebook. You can do it by email, effingadorable@proton.me. Please put which time zone you're in, because if you say 11 o'clock and we do it 11 o'clock Eastern, that's going to be 8 o'clock Pacific. So, if you say it'd be great to do Saturdays at noon, say noon Pacific time, noon Mountain time, noon East Coast time. So we'll know what you mean.
Just go if you say Friday or Saturday night. It's not going to happen because we're working on Friday and Saturday night.
Right. Also true. We just lost 2 viewers. Assholes.
Well, that's okay. I almost lost you for a minute to a nap, I thought.
Nah. By the way, we're on just over an hour. Would you, any day and time, as long as it is advertised on your platform beforehand, is what Casey said.
Okay.
Notice how Casey, I learned from...
Casey is on, well, she's got your phone number, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's somebody you know. It's not somebody from Wilmington.
Right. So Casey,
okay,
I learned from him not to use your last name.
Yeah. Here's how I know that a person from Wilmington did not think to do that, because we only have one public school in the entire town. So none of my friends would know. Plus I'm real funny about giving out my phone number.
I'm actually pretty careful about giving out my number as well. But I know Casey, she and her husband are delightful people, and I have no problem communicating by text with them. You're very welcome. I swear to God, I keep looking at the phone when I talk to you, Casey. I should look at the computer. You're very welcome.
Somebody else, I got our Instagram notification, and it says that a Janet, whose last name I guess we're not talking about. Look at you with your little eyebrows raised, going, let's see if she screws this up. Says, Flip, are you on now? Are you on live now? Well, not on Instagram, we're not, Janet.
You know what? I didn't even try to do that. I should have. And next time we'll
because you have to do an Instagram live crappy thing. They say that you can do all of this stuff.
Right.
But then when you start to do it, you can't. She's looking for the podcast, Are You On Live Now? Yeah, we are. So, well, we're about as live as we can get.
Yeah, but I think we're getting on the back end of this.
So you're done?
No, you know what? I'd like to, I don't know. You know what? Renee and I should have discussed this before going on live. Probably keep them about an hour-ish. I don't think it's...
I think that, I agree. Not only that, I would like to crawl back into my pajamas and...
Well, I have the rest of a show I was watching too.
Oh, wait a second. You're watching a show and I'm making booking calls. Actually, I just got a notice that we have another contract that just came in.
Really?
Yeah. So we are now going from Holland, Michigan.
Right.
To Martinsville, West Virginia.
The Apollo in West Virginia.
I know. And you know what? Those are the nicest people right there. And then we're going to Oak Park, Pennsylvania. Then we're going to Knoxville. We hope to pick up 2 clubs in Georgia. And
I have someone who they saw me years ago at a club in Knoxville. They've been nothing but nice and complimentary, and they've been asking me over the years if I could ever get back to Knoxville. So I hope I can locate them online to let them know we're going to be in Knoxville.
And as soon as we get the deposit check, you can put it on your calendar, because your manager's a little snotty about getting that deposit check before anything goes on the calendar.
Well, And I'll say to all of you what I say to everyone. What separates a job from a hobby? The cash.
I thought you were, see, right there, once again, you could have hit it over the plate and go, a manager that takes care of you. But no.
Well, but within the word cash, what separates one from the other, the cash, that is only possible with a dear friend and manager who takes care of you.
Yeah, well.
So it was understood.
Oh, was it? Okay. Well, I do want to tell some of my friends that are watching, maybe one or two of them, because everybody keeps sending me private messages about where have you been all this time since you retired. Where I was not wanting to deal with a bunch of crap. So I just spent a lot of time at home pursuing my hobbies, which became very odd little things like watching reality shows and not doing nothing because I swore I would never go back on the road again and didn't want any part of that. And then I met a crazy person and decided to be crazy with him. So I am packing my bags. And part of doing this was actually getting back on social media. So please forgive me if I don't answer every private message, because I'll be real honest with you. The gentleman that you're looking at, Mr. Adorable One over there, and I don't know if you guys see that, but we named ourselves Adorable One and Adorable Two. He's a handful, and that's a full-time job for me right there, and I'm very happy with that job. But it doesn't leave me a lot of time to screw around on the computer. So just know, if I don't answer, that's why.
A dear friend of Renee's, while they were talking back and forth, at one point referred to our friendship as effing adorable, and we thought that was hysterical, and that's why we ended up taking that as the name for our email,
our business,
and then
and I've already put our business out on social media. We are a production company.
Yeah.
So, and it's called Effing Adorable, because for some reason they thought this was adorable. That's because that person didn't get to spend a lot of time with us. But we are fun. Couldn't ask for a better best friend than I got in you.
So Wilmington, spread the word. We are going to do.
Don't spread it. Focus it at the Murphy Theater.
Well, spread the word, and then everybody descend on the theater, and we'll try to make this happen. And then we'll do the show. We'll do a podcast the next day at the theater if all this comes together. And then I guess we're doing every meal at
Frisch's.
Yeah, I've actually called it by the wrong name a couple times, and I told that was sacrilege, so I'm not taking a chance.
I did explain to him that this is a religious experience in Southern Ohio, and I'll have to take you to Skyline Chili too. Have you ever heard of Skyline Chili?
Nope, but I've heard of chili, both the food and the country.
Well, you're a Renaissance man.
I am that. So,
all right,
anyway,
let's get out of here because I got other stuff to do and pajamas to put on.
There you go. Everybody, the 4, 5, 6 of you that watched, and for those of you who will hopefully watch recorded, thank you for taking the time. We appreciate it, and hopefully this will build.
Yeah, and if you do have any questions, we are going to have guests coming on, like a couple of comedians that have traveled with me. Nobody's traveled with you, really. It's not that still speaks to you. I'm just kidding. But also a couple of club managers who have some road stories to tell. And if you're a comic that's interested in coming on and talking about some road stories, we're not opposed to that, are we?
No, that'd be fun. Love You know what? I've run into some comics that were not easy, a little bit difficult, but I love comics. I love comedy. I love comedy stories. And we'd love to talk to comics who have their own perspective, their own, crazy road stories and whatnot. We'd love to have you on.
Sounds good to me.
Getting in touch with us. Again, effing adorable at proton.me. If you want to look us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, it is Road Comics Adventures.
Yes.
Right. And then all that social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, you can find me by my name, Flip Orley.
You can't find me any place except Facebook because I had wiped myself off the planet, and I came kicking and screaming, even getting back on Facebook. But now I'm really glad I did.
And the last thing, I've got a website, which is fliporley.com. And sign up for the newsletter. That way you can keep up on our crazy schedule, and hopefully we'll be coming to a town near you.
Sounds good to me. Talk to you later, probably in 10 minutes.
Right. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.